me shut this motor off. You guys gotta see what I found out. Remember yesterday I made a video on that I was gonna stop and put on my coveralls and spray down the truck. Well, I sprayed it down. It's not very clean, but the most important thing is I washed the motor and got all the oil leak off, and I now know what the oil leak is. I'm not sure if you guys can see in there, but I'm gonna try to show you. There, I'm gonna see if I can get you down in there. Now I'm not sure if you can see it or not. How do you rotate this thing? Let me see. Huh? I don't know how you rotate it. But anyway, down there, where the block meets the back of this timing cover back plate, where the back plate comes up against the block, that's where it leaks. And how do I know that? Because I got in there with a flashlight last night, and because it's clean, I was able to, there's no oil anywhere, but I could see up in that crack where the plate meets where the plate meets the block. I could see it look like little pinhole bubbles. I mean, just little tiny bubbles. And I thought, am I seeing what I'm seeing? And I went and I got a flashlight and put on my readers and got up in here and was looking down in there with the flashlight, and I thought I saw bubbles. And I mean, they were no bigger than a pinhead. And I thought, am I looking at bubbles? And I was like, no, I can't be looking at bubbles. And I kept looking and looking. And sure enough, I'd see another bubble about the size of a pinhead. I go, did I just see that? And then I waited, and then I saw another bubble. And I was like, and it was like in a spot about that big, you know. So I was like, I'll be darned. I see bubbles coming out. And I didn't see any oil anywhere else, but I could see those bubbles coming out. And so I looked it up last night, and I spent a couple hours, but I finally came across where a Caterpillar mechanic had somebody ask him on a reform, or what do you call them? Is that what you call them? A reform? Or forum? A forum, not a reform, but a forum. But it's on a forum where a guy asked if anybody could help him with a leak, and he was talking about that same leak there. And the Caterpillar mechanic said, well, there was a time years ago, back when these motors first came out, the Caterpillar released a letter that to keep from spending the time and the money taking that whole front of that motor apart to get to that backing plate, which would be a lot of time and a lot of money. So that's a lot of work for a little tiny leak. Caterpillar recommended to put an epoxy on that, and and that's what this Caterpillar guy said, that Caterpillar had to put out an official letter that they were putting epoxy clean down that crack or down that seam right there to prevent it from leaking. And sure enough, if you get down in there, now I know you guys can't see, but because you just can't. But it looks like, let me see if I can get you over here. It looks just like this. See, and the leak is coming out right down that seam. So what they're doing is where the two pieces of metal come together, where the backing plate meets the block, they're cleaning it, grinding it down, getting all those oils and everything off, and putting epoxy all the way down that seam. And if sure enough, I got to looking, and that's exactly what's going down the side of this block. And where it's leaking is where it had broke off. It had cracked and broke off. So the mystery has been solved. And so the truck is still pretty dirty. I just sprayed it off. But so the mystery's been solved, and now we know where the leak is coming from. Again, yes, I did fix a pretty serious leak when I put those seals on the sensor, because I mean it was a huge mess. Now it's just a little tiny leak. And what makes it bad is that little tiny leak, there's a lot of air that gets up in there, and it just blows it everywhere. And it gets on the back of the truck. So, I mean, you look, you see those little spots right there on that fan? You'll find spots like that all over the place, all over this truck. And even though you pull the dipstick and it doesn't really show that it's losing oil, it's losing oil. And it's making a mess. And so I'm not going to concern myself about it right now, but the next time I get home, I'm going to drop that air compressor and clean that paint off and grind it down, and do just like they said, and get that epoxy put in there and get that stopped and get it repainted so I can keep an eye on it and make sure it's not leaking. And so, wow, so that's what I figured out. It's Saturday here. I'm in Goodland, Kansas. I'm fixing to get out of here and roll on over to Salina, Kansas, at least. Salina, Kansas. And you guys enjoy your weekend. I see lots of people here getting their stuff out for the weekend. So you guys enjoy your weekend as well. God bless, peace, and have lots of fun. And later.